Man to encourage the people. Brothers and sisters, good evening, good morning, good afternoon when you get this. It's nighttime, my time. I don't expect anybody to really catch up with me right now, but I would like for this to be one of the. I got a few more works up my sleeve. I got to get this other laptop popping, but I got some stuff that I just wanted to just put some positive energy out there for everybody, put a good thought out there for them. And being positive doesn't mean we're laughy, we're jokey. Being positive doesn't mean that it's all smiles. Being positive just means that we're able to look forward and look through the situation that we're going through right now. So what's happening right now, right, is we have a little situation where I think people are losing hope. I can kind of see it. It's written on the wall, and it's not something that's obvious to people who don't watch. I'm not even gonna say the news, but who just don't watch and see what's going on around them. So I've been going through a lot with the courts, right? And I've been dealing with that for a minute. And so it's been trying. It's been difficult. There's been things that I wish I could have done differently as far as just how I invested my money into certain schemes or certain ways to try to expedite the process. If I had filed a couple different motions sooner, not filed certain motions at all, not used up my energy to pursue what would tantamount to no justice or possibly injustice being done to my persons. And the reason why I use my situation is because I don't know what you're going through. I don't know if it's a physical ailment that you're fighting. I don't know if it's just all in your head. I don't know if your finances are being challenged right now. I couldn't say what it is. You know, I don't want you to think that it's not important what those things are. But what I want you to know is more important than that is the idea that you can endure through these hard times, that your perseverance and your long suffering and your patience and your tolerance are not going, it's not in vain. It's not in vain. Maybe you have a relative that's close to you who doesn't want to get their act together for a plethora of different reasons. It could be one different thing. It could be one thing, but there could be a plethora of one things or multiple things that are combined together. What else could it be? You could just be having marital issues, basic regular stuff. It's basic because it's been happening for thousands of years. It didn't just start today. People didn't just start fighting over money today. Women and men have left one another for petty reasons, sometimes for reasons that are understandable, but they've left each other for petty reasons for a long time. As long as there have been rich, there have been poor. So that's the only way they can be rich is that someone else is poor, because if the poor person had something, then they wouldn't be poor. But if all those who were rich didn't have what they have, then there wouldn't be any poor people. That's the idea. Having said that, that wouldn't be the first, it's not the first time that that's ever happened to people. You get me? Before I look up this little thing that I was going to pull on up, no, I'm not going to worry about that. Just worry about something else. Anyway, the point being this: people go through a lot. Everybody's going through a lot. There's a lot of cities right now in the US that are seeing homelessness. I was going to read this thing about evictions, but I'm going to keep it, like I said, on a positive note. I don't need to be reading about nothing like that. What's popping, bro? My hitter, if you don't get no bigger. Hope all is well, bro. But anyway, I don't want to bring down no negative energy to the joint. So let me just keep it on a more positive note, like I said. But the uh the whole point of all this is so that way people can understand that these hard times you can endure, you know, whether that's spending less money, whether that's going out in public less. You don't necessarily have to spend money to go out in public. I think we all understand that. Uh, you don't have to. There's a lot of things you don't have to do. See, they call what I'm doing right now escapism, but the truth be told, there's more than one form of escapism. You see what I'm saying? Watching TV is escapism. Talking about something that hasn't happened, if you want to get technical, prophecy and all that stuff is escapism. Everything is escapism. Word. Going to work knowing that something is going to happen is escapism. So when they use these terms and they don't really understand that I can apply that word in a different way as long as how I'm applying it actually does make sense, even if it's unconventional to what they believe. So before you think that I'm engaging in escapism, this is my form of medicating. This is what I do. My body aches and I hurt and I have to continue to carry on to go to work, right on, and engage in physical activities. I don't, I don't, I don't make it the whole earth's problem. You feel what I'm saying? And that's a part of enduring through hard times. It's one thing to have a job and people at the job do things that you don't like or that you don't appreciate. It's a whole nother thing to bring your personal self to the problem, and your personal problems become part of the reason why the workplace is complicated. No different than being at home. See, internalizing is escapism. Let me repeat that again. Internalizing your issues is a form of escapism because you would rather not confront the issue. Come on. So you're avoiding it. That's escapism, cuz. See, it's funny how that works, right? So no matter what you engage in, go ahead and put that out. I can claim that it's escapism. I'm here to tell you we don't need escapism. What we need is we need confrontation. Or we need a I'm just looking at something. We need a head-on, straightforward approach that doesn't involve, once again, confrontation doesn't mean violence. You know what I'm saying? Uh, there's a confront. Look, when you walk against the wind, that's a confrontation. Word? When you walk in the rain against the rain, that's a confrontation. Is that really like you see what I'm saying? It could be violent, I guess, but it's not. You get what I'm saying? So we need more people to not avoid the rain. You get what I'm talking about? I need more people. That's the mindset and the mentality that you have to have. You can't have a mindset where your first thing that you defer to do is to avoid a conflict at all costs. If that's the best plan of action, I understand that. But sometimes you're better off meeting the conflict. So it's better to throw water on the fire than to let the fire get out of control and burn everything down. You see what I'm saying? I didn't want to get caught for starting a fire in the first place, or I didn't want to be blamed for this fire being started. Whatever the logic, I didn't think that this water would be able to do that. I didn't want to make a mess. The damage is going to do if you let it to continue to burn is even worse. So the longer you allow for that flame to go, the more damage it's going to do. You see what I'm saying? And I don't know if people can see it like that. If they can understand, like, you have to confront all issues and all problems. You have to make it a thing that you're actually going to stand up. You know, because it's it's really crazy. You know, it's really crazy that you have a lot of folks who are just pretty much just standing down. You know, they're going to stand down. Now I'm going to put this link right here from the New York Times in the joint. I just had to make sure it's the right one. And I'm gonna read a little bit of it in a moment, but it is going to be not to bring down the energy. It's going to be what I would do if I was these individuals facing this situation. You know, like if I really was behind on my rent for whatever reason, right? I would, I would, I would be wise enough. You know what I'm saying? Um, to just calm down because cooler heads will prevail. You can be confrontational and be calm. Like for example, Moses was meek, but Moses was still confrontational enough to stand up for the Most High God. Maybe not as much as the Most High God would have liked, but I think for I think for what was needed at the time, that was appropriate. Not saying that Moses didn't know that the Most High God could have easily just made his bloodline the entire tribe. I'm sure Moses was aware of that. It's just I'm not sure if Moses cared to usurp what would have been the most righteous thing, which is all the people who are all the children of Israel. You see what I'm saying? Because one person is still the seed, it's no less the truth. It's just not everyone that was actually born from their loins. It's a big deal, but let me not get carried away into that. Let's talk about this struggle. If I'm getting evicted, I'm keeping my money right. You see what I'm saying? I'm keeping it cool headed while I'm confrontational. I'm not going to exacerbate the situation by going to casinos and gambling off my money. I'm not going to exacerbate the situation by buying drugs that may be tampered with substances, and then having to wait to have to sell them or anything like that. Where in which, if you have the opportunity to move them and somebody happens to overdose and die, now that's on you. You see what I'm saying? And there might and the way that people are moving now, and these Gentiles are moving now, they wouldn't have a problem killing somebody over something so trivial. And it's not trivial that somebody overdosed, but it's trivial that you would want to take out this action against them, but you wouldn't want to go take out the action against those that are actually bringing it into your neighborhoods. So I wouldn't go do that either. Another thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't go splurging and go out of control, like as if like, okay, it doesn't matter because I don't have enough money and they won't take what little money I have, so I'm just going to go spend this money. It's like, no, 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 no. We're going to chill it out. We're going to calm down. Because just in these three cities that you're going to read off tops, it's Detroit, Gainesville, and Indianapolis, right? And it's saying that their eviction courts are packed. And I need y'all to understand, it's not just there, it's everywhere. They're packed everywhere. Word. So if y'all think that it's gotten crazy, and that's all I want to read from there, you can go ahead and check out the rest of it and put it in, put the work in and read that. But the point that I wanted to make is simple. It's a real simple thing. The struggle that's gonna come to a lot of people is so phenomenal and profound. And what you're about to witness is so crazy that unless the government actually does something, and I'm not advocating that they do, I'm just saying unless they actually do something, it's about to get crazier than people could ever have imagined. Because you have folks, okay, so the so-called holiday time is coming up. There's going to be people doing all kinds of acts of desperation to provide for their family what they think is normal. You see what I'm saying? What they were taught and raised to believe is normal. Now, I didn't call it this, but I will have to do a video about the season of the merchant and how it's a never-ending season. And so in this strong part of the season of the merchant, you're going to see people engage in activity that some folks just yesterday would have never thought about doing. You know what I mean? Talking about from when the sun set down to when it comes back up, they wouldn't have thought about doing that, and now they have. And I'm just telling y'all, man, that it's crazy. You know that we're even in this position, that we're in this situation where we're gonna have to witness, folks. There's gonna be a lot more people made homeless. So I don't know how many homeless people are around you right now, but this is why, out here in Tacoma, they're opening up old hotels that were no longer being used to try to get one ready right now. You know what I'm saying? I forget how many rooms it has. It has over 50 though, right? So it's just like, there's other places that I know that have like a few hundred vacancies where they're really trying to get all the homeless off the street, or as many as they can, I should say. But it's about to blow up and it's about to get crazy. And it's not just those three places. And once again, it's everywhere. It's everywhere people live where you think that folks got behind on their rent and they have to stay calm. They have to say, okay, this is the money that I have. They're willing to take this money and allow me to uh to pay them this much, or maybe I need it all at once. Okay. So that means that you have to swallow your pride if you already haven't, right? And if you don't have any pride like that, then now you just have to just come to your senses and realize I need to call and I need to ask these government agencies for help. Because I didn't read anywhere where it says that if you're a certain kind of person with a certain kind of background, we won't help you. That's not what I perceived. You see what I'm saying? I perceive that most people won't ask for help because they think it's all bullshit. That's what I perceive. I could be wrong, but a lot of the time, when they say that there's an excess of funds that haven't even been tapped into, that means that they're not even trying to get them. I give you guys a prime example. I catch the local transit to work sometimes. Sometimes I walk. It's like a 35, 40-minute walk, right? So sometimes I just catch the bus. But anyway, what happens is this, is that there's bus routes that they're taking out of the schedule, and lately they just haven't even been showing up. So all the money that the government gave them to train up new drivers last year, so this wouldn't happen this year, they didn't use that money to do that. You see what I'm saying? They didn't incentivize. They don't want to pay enough money to have people sit on the buses and potentially get into a vehicular collision, right on, or run somebody on the road and kill them on accident, because that could happen too. You know, or they pass away while driving, anything like that. I mean, anything that can happen. That's why I thank the Most High God just for being here. So what I'm saying is that they'll skip out of the money that they used. Right on. They skipped out. They didn't want to use the money that they were supposed to use to actually train these individuals up. So now they're going through a situation. It's no different than all the rest of this stuff. These so-called agencies that got all this money for people who need it, they should have been responsible for reaching out to real estate companies who had delinquent tendencies, things like that, right? And then went case by case. Certain cases and certain criteria get immediate action. Other cases need to be reviewed. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. You see what I'm saying? But they couldn't do that because disproportionately, black people would have been actually something good would have happened for black people just this one time. I'm talking about like partially good, like a whole 25% good, because a lot of black people, believe it or not, most black people pay their rent. You know what I'm saying? Most black people will pay their lease or whatever. You see what I'm talking about? Like they pay those things, the mortgage, they pay those things. So the ones who don't are the ones who are fiscally irresponsible. And this is all across the board. This is how those dudes who were rich and then got broke, those are the same dudes who are just like dudes in the hood, these cats in the hood, individuals, excuse me, who will spend all their money on clothes and trinkets, right? And won't save a dollar of it because they're going to try to use those trinkets and those clothes to lure in multiple women who potentially have an actual income. So this is how a lot of these guys don't have to go to work. You see what I'm saying? This is how a lot of these men and so-called men don't have to go to work. So because this is what they do. I'm not going to get into the whole magic spell part of that, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of frequency based things and a lot of spectra based things that are taking place when that happens. However, the point being this, when you have a situation where individuals will choose not to do what they can do and bypass that, the problem is not the answer. The problem's not the solution. It can't be. This is where that term Hegelian dialect is so true, And I have to thank Brother Scribe for putting me on to understand all the way in that game of like, okay, that is true. They create a problem and then they want to make an answer, but the problem's not the solution though. You feel me? The Most High God is not the problem. He's the answer because He didn't start any of the problems. Everything that has taken place is based on deviation, something doing something that it's not supposed to do. So because they're deviants, right on, all these things have been set in motion and into play. It's no different. It's a very similar concept, and it's easy to know where they got it from, or at least how they conduct and how they operate. So one of my biggest issues is that people think that they need to do more than they need to do. You need to wait for the opportunity to present itself because opportunities are not man-made. Do y'all hear me? When you make a restaurant or you make a building where you wash clothes or you do hair or anything like that, whenever you have a service, right? Your job is to provide a service that individuals don't want to provide for themselves or are not capable of and have the means to. In some cases, they don't have all the means to, but still would like and desire this service for whatever reasons, justified or unjustified, righteous or unrighteous, right? So, and that's just to say that beggars will be choosers sometimes. And still, having said that much, we have a group of people who just don't understand, like, you can't be like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't you can't go from a situation, you can't be in a situation where you can barely afford to keep your faculties together and you can barely afford to keep your situation together, and yet you want for someone to capitulate to you and say, okay, well, they're going through hard times, so let me do this one solid by them. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? That's just not how it goes. So you got to just chill out. People who actually have a little bit of change put away, this is time where that thing that you're good at on the side, you actually put the money down, and you're not gambling on yourself. Once again, it's not a man-made opportunity if you're providing a service. That's why I said that to say that. I said that to say this. If you have a service that people desire, you can provide that service. You see what I'm saying? And if there's things that you need to learn how to do, then it's best you learn how to do them while you still can or while you still need those abilities. Like doing your own tune up on your own vehicle is probably one of the best ways to save money all year, you know, doing all those things, right? Whether you got to watch somebody do the stuff and it's be like, okay, that's all I got to do. Okay, damn, I got it. Oh, okay. I didn't know I had to do all that. All right. Understood. Or you just watch a little video. You see what I'm saying? And you just learn and you just watch it a few times and you say, okay, I got it. And be willing to make mistakes. Just don't hurt yourself. Always play on the side of caution, on the side of safety. You always err on the side of safety. Always. You know, that's how we know that you actually care. If you don't err on the side of safety, I know that you don't care. See what I'm saying? But if you err on the side of safety, I know that you really do care. Money is not the objective, it's a means to an end in this land. Because in this land, it answers all problems for a lot of individuals. So they want you to believe that monies is real, but monies are not real. Like as far as like what they do, because right now in the state that you live in, there's produce that's growing in the wild that nobody knows is growing there. It's completely edible. It's completely safe to eat, right? And it's been doing this without anyone paying anyone to do it, and it does this every year, year in and year out. So the idea that money actually buys you the true happiness that you're seeking is untrue, or that it can. What it does is it can put you in a position for those who are providing a service. Can you hear me? See, if you start to see that money and all businesses is service based, it's all service based. Is what is the service? Right. You have individuals who have the business of servicing other people's money. Right. And folks pay them to do things with their money. Think about that. That's deep, ain't it? So, depending on what your service is and what your claim to credibility within that service is, depends on your level and your realistic achievements that can be made within that skill or service, if you will, because that's what's happening right now. And I just need people to see that hard times are not, when you endure through the hard times, you don't just have to let things be what they are. Like I said, you need to be confrontational to the degree that you don't let something build up and fester up. You just don't. You have to let it go. You see what I'm saying? You have to, if toxic gases are better out than in your body, then so-called toxic energy has to be the same. Can you hear me? And the more of it that you get out of your persons, the less of it you'll have. The less of it you'll have to respond with when you get into situations. Toxic energy comes in the form of many different things. Toxic energy might be tears, it might be outburst, it might be sometimes, worst case scenario is physical violence. But if there's a way to exercise the latter of them, the physical, like the physical violence, then you get to limit how much of the toxic energy affects the rest of your body, affects your overall general health, if that's what you want to call it. But like I said, though, if the gases are better out than in, if it's better to belch and to pass gas, it has to be better to let and release that same sort of energy the way that it can be released. It can't be good to hold it in you. So that's how you endure for the most part, as far as just, a real basic way of saying everything is like, you can't let the situation be so great that you won't show the forces that are involved that I'm still willing to defend whatever it is that I believe in. At the same time, I'm here to do a service, provide that service, right? First and foremost, as my form of profession, but it comes second in part by who I am as a person. Who I am supersedes this job. You follow what I'm saying? So, the Most High God, right on, He is the God Himself to Himself. Okay? I'm saying? So, He doesn't need us to pray to Him or to worship Him or none of that. He doesn't need us for anything. That's just if they really love me. If you really truly do love me, worship me, praise me. You see what I'm saying? So no different is it like that than this. Me worshiping the Most High God is more important than this to me. That's just how it has to be. And if people can respect and not to respect it, honor that. Word. If what they believe is so important to them, let that be the case. But they can't have a confused doctrine about it. Because I want them to make it, I want them to live. Can you dig? You can't say two things where one goes against the other and then say that I believe in the greater of these things. So, for all the people who are struggling out there with everything, anything, or nothing, maybe that's the struggle. I don't have any struggle, and I feel as if I'm lost because of that. Okay, let's talk about it, right? Because sometimes that's the problem. And I know I don't get, I try not to get too esoteric about it because that's more of a spiritual thing than it is anything else. It's that's more in the spirit of a person than in their mind, where they have enough and they feel like I don't have any real struggles. You know what I'm saying? I don't have like there's nothing that's actually holding me back. And that bothers them. You know, there's very few black people like that. There's a whole lot of, other individuals of other descendancies who have been able to either piggyback off of what we, or, oxen back us, right? You know what I'm saying? Clean animal. But they've been able to stand on the shoulders of black people in so many ways. And white folks can't say nothing because they're of some of these individuals and of these groups who have stood on our shoulders for hundreds of years, and so you know, hundreds of years later, the shoulders hurt, and it's time for y'all to get down. You know, and if y'all are really righteous and pious like you claim you are, then put us up on the shoulders and let us show you how it's done, so that way nobody's standing on anybody's shoulders. But they can't do that. So we're in the situation that we're in. But the people who have no struggle, individuals, Gentiles, whatever they want to be, whatever they think they are, when they're in these situations, they have to recognize that your struggle is no struggle. You see what I'm saying? That's the struggle. Can you live with not having a struggle? You don't have to be rich to not have a struggle, y'all. See, this is the difference between the mindset of a true wise individual and someone who's a fool who espouses points that really don't matter and tries to bloviate and extol those who are wicked in nature and their truest core. This is the difference right here. And I'm speaking it so that way people can hear what it sounds like one day. One day when they finally come to their senses, they get to hear it and they get to say, oh, this is what actual sense sounds like. Because I have no need. Trust me, I can go crazy just like anybody else can. And it's not far from me. But when you're practicing something, you have to recognize what it is that you're up against. So if my struggle is nothing, even though I have a struggle, and I'm using myself as an example, if my struggle is nothing, then I have to recognize that I must maintain my struggle of nothing. I cannot deviate and create a struggle that did not exist because the struggle then will have been self-made. Can you dig it? This is why there's a difference between a natural wound and a self-inflicted wound are not the same. You cutting off your finger and a tree falling on you are not the same. They're not the same. They're not the same. Even if you're saying I was at work and I cut it off, it doesn't matter. You still did it yourself. No? Right. That tree, unless you were cutting that tree down, it's not self-inflicted. Because the tree could just fall over, but your finger's not just going to get chopped off out of nowhere. See what I'm saying? So you have to have that kind of mindset of being able to, you have to be able to think on the larger scale, but still you have to bring it back to this little scale where you're at. Like, okay, this is how it's actually going to play out, but this is the grand scheme. So when you're struggling with nothing, realizing that I must maintain my struggle of nothing, is what might become hard and difficult. And this is why folks walk away from a decent paying job every day, and they shouldn't. They should stay at their job until they have figured out a way to make money for themselves. And then their struggle can become a struggle of self-reliance, right? If they feel like I just need to be able to rely on myself because I'm too reliant upon the system that I depend on. You see what I'm saying? That's not a created struggle. This is a goal. And maybe there comes struggles within the goal, still self-made, but it's self-made to the degree of I'm going to maintain until I can change what I have been doing and then see if I can still maintain all to myself. So if the struggle is everything comes too easy, create a situation once you've obviously accrued enough to walk away from that. But don't just stop doing what you're supposed to do because you feel as if you need to create some sort of turmoil to feel motivated. That's bull. Now, for the people who don't have very much and are looking for a way up, I give you this. If we are cursed, and we are, you should take it upon yourself to realize that if this is my lot in life, how can I make the best out of this lot? You see what I'm saying? If this is where I'm meant to be, or this is how it's meant to be for me right now, how can I best achieve what is not happiness, but what is a content nature within myself that I don't self implode? Because this is why internalizing is dangerous, right on? It's better to explode than it is to implode. So it's always good to get it out. I can't stress that enough. Get the bad energy out of you. Some of you need to order a punching bag. Some of you need to order some kind of Bobby the Bully, right? And if you have the space to accommodate it, however you need to do it. If you need to go get I don't really advocate people getting gym memberships. I normally advocate folks getting what they can at their home setting and just doing it at home. It eliminates the distraction and it eliminates the risk and the chance of unruly behavior. And that's what we're not looking to engage in. So, because if it's already struggle and hard time, once again, don't create self-inflicted wounds. You know, don't wait for a curse to become a blessing. Only want the blessings. Why should you want to be cursed? You're already cursed. Why should you want to further, you know, degrade the situation? You know what I'm saying? Why exacerbate it? That's silly. So we have to have the good sense in the mind to understand these things when we go into the situation. I very rarely talk like this, but I really felt that it was necessary, to just remind the people that you can make it. And once again, I don't have to sit here and laugh and smile. There's nothing to laugh and smile about. This is serious business. This is serious, serious business right here. I don't know who's going to make it to tomorrow. If I'm going to make it to tomorrow, we don't know what God's plans are. But I do know that while I'm still here, I'm going to speak to my people like there is hope because I know there's hope. Because I know the Most High God makes his plans to come back every day. Every day that passes is a day sooner and closer to the inevitable judgment that must be placed upon the earth for her transgressions against mankind and for the angels that came down and defiled the daughters of men, and in turn, their sons defiled the men of the earth and all that lived upon the earth to corrupt the earth and all flesh that is within the earth. So, until that day be accomplished, we have to sit here and we have to realize that our ancestors played a direct part into how we got here. You want to be mad about the internet and World Star and all this stuff? Be mad at your ancestors for not following the Most High God. I can't stress that enough. You want to take it out on them? You know how you take it out on them? Be righteous. Be as righteous as you can be. What do you have? This is my question. What do you have to lose by trying to be righteous? If $10 is going to make or break you to give to a person on the street who look more like you than not, listen to me. If $10 is going to make or break you, you're already poor. And if it's like that, give them five. Give what you can. You got to do something. You have to be the stopgap for them. You have to be the means of assuaging the distress for the distressed. Okay? If you truly believe in the Most High God, like you think and you say and you claim and you believe you do, you have to take it upon yourself to do and give alms. It is requisite that you give the poor a chance at their own salvation by them maintaining their righteousness, because you don't know if that individual is righteous or not just because they live on the streets. You don't know that. They might be the most righteous person you'd have ever met. But in the time period that might be too brief for you to ascertain such a thing, you have to be willing to say, you know what? Maybe if I bless them right now, they have a blessed day. I'm going to tell y'all a little thing that happened a couple nights ago. It was raining. So I called my roommate to come swoop a play up, right? And I make my little walk from work. And I get about halfway to the crib, close to halfway. Boom, and I hop in the whip and stuff. We roll out. Boom. We get back to the apartment. There's his brother walking by. Maybe my father's 59. So maybe this brother's just about to be 50, right? In his late 40s, early 50s. And I said, sir, do you need a couple dollars? He said, man, you know what's crazy? He said, I had just told myself, he said, I'm going to ask them for a couple bucks. He said, it's just crazy that I said, he said, man, that's God. Before I could even get it out, word, he said, that's God right there. Word. Because he understood. Right. That's how it works. See, sometimes you're able to prevent a situation because you don't know what he was planning to do. I don't know. Maybe maybe he was going to get violent if he couldn't. I highly doubt it. But maybe then he has ill intent for that vehicle. Like, oh, I remember what car they got out of. You never know. But that's not why I did that. I did that out of the kindness of my heart. But you could never know somebody else's mentality. Maybe he's an extra righteous brother. Maybe he wouldn't have done nothing at all, but just kept it pushing. But maybe now if he's coming by and he sees somebody doing something to that vehicle, he's like, hey, keep it pushing. You don't know what a person will do. Not that he'd risk his life or nothing like that, but just to do a general good looking. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate that. You never know, man, how that works out. Might save you from having to replace a window or something like that. That costs hundreds of dollars. See, it's cheaper to give somebody 20 bucks than for them to break a $200 window. No matter how you put it, you'd have to do this umpteen times for them, right? And if you're still making money between each time you give them money, and I'm not saying that this is what I would do, but I'm saying like even if you go to that route, you still save money by not allowing yourself to fall victim to something that they otherwise might not do. There's a quote by Abraham Lincoln. For however racist they think he is, once again, you can thank him for the so-called civil rights movement because civil rights is based on the Lincoln laws. Anyway, uh, where's I just at? My man's gave him some money. Boom, 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 boom. Where's I just at, y'all? You do it so that way you can save some money. Okay? You don't want to be cheap because a $200 window compared to 20 bucks, you don't lose. You can't. I don't see how you lose. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see how you lose. I don't see how you take a L by being wise enough to say, what is this money to me? You not that you need that car window, but it does make the vehicle operate a lot more effectively. You see what I'm saying? It saves you from the stress or the duress of having to get it replaced. If you don't know how to do it yourself, now you have to pay somebody to do it. That's even more money. Right. You prevent somebody from doing something that they otherwise might not do. Abe Lincoln, locks keep an honest man honest. There we go. That's how we round that out. Locks keep an honest man honest. It's supposed to be racist though, and all this other stuff. But without him, they wouldn't even have the civil rights, like I was saying. It's a pathetic thing, y'all. It's a pathetic thing that they can't realize that your $20 is a lock. Come on, your $5, that little bag of food that you might go buy for them, because they might not really want no money. They might really be hungry, legitimately hungry and thirsty. All I want is something to eat and something to drink. Something good though, right? That's how you keep them honest. You know how you make somebody dishonest? You withhold from them their daily bread. Right. Every time I see these guys out here who are addicted to dope, I always encourage those brothers to get clean. I'm like, man, you should just go to rehab, bro. Or you should go to treatment. Why not? Why not? See what I'm saying? Why shouldn't they go to treatment? Can you dig it? So not only is it your job to bless these individuals, once again, I'm not telling you to put on no cape, but I'm asking you and requesting you that you see the power that you have while you yet live. That's all I'm saying. The dead have no power. Come on, can y'all hear me? The dead have no power, y'all. We got the power because we're alive right now. So right now you get to make a difference just because you're here. And I need you to really appreciate that and grasp that and hold on to that. That's the matter of facts. The difference you make is right now. We can't do anything about the past or the future that will be, but we can do something about the here and the now. And you can make an effect on someone's life that they needed to have made just to keep their head in the game, to help keep them enduring the hard times. Can you hear me, brothers and sisters? Because at that point, that's when you've helped them with their salvation. So you can't help them get salvation, but you can help keep them on the right road. Every time somebody gives you a kind word of advice or tells you, hey, brother, calm down, they're right. Because there's a general time to want to kill, to feel the desire and the need to have to kill someone. Right on? The time is not yet. If they do something to one of your loved ones, that is that time. I am never going to tell you that it's not blood for it is blood for blood. It is blood for blood. And I have no ways about it. White dude got killed by the police officer. I don't know, was it Denver or wherever it was at? But remember, he got popped. He shot the dude who had came in there with the rifle, because the dude with the rifle had killed a cop already, right? He was leaving, then homeboy popped him. Then the cops roll up and shoot the dude who shot the dude who shot the cop. So, long story short, short story shorter, the best way I can say it is that if I was his people, I wouldn't go for that. His mother's talking about having, you know, constructive conversations or something like that, right? Meaningful conversations. Everything is meaningful. Even a fool's words have meaning. Whether they matter is another thing. But everything a fool utters out of his mouth or her mouth still has meaning. Whether it matters is a whole nother thing. Like I said the other day at work, bro, and we was able to get some help, they can let me go. I don't really care because I wrote it out and I always make sure that the stuff is clean when I go. But I had said something like, man, I said, it's totally backwards in here. I said, people come back here and don't want to, you want to ask me for something, but you don't want to use your two hands to take something up out this joint and bring it to the main line in the kitchen. Man, come on, be more, be more intelligent than that and be more thoughtful than that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, cause it's nothing but a matter of grace. Word. You know what I'm saying? Word. Be humble and be graceful. And you'll get way more what you want than what you don't want. I guarantee you. You know what I'm saying? You can be humble and be aware at the same time. I don't know why humility has to be mistaken with being lackadaisical or being, overly lethargic. The, the, that doesn't make any sense. Humility is your ability to get over yourself in so many words. And as long as you have humility and grace, right on, to me, true grace is how we perceive someone approaches a situation. And when they approach it with this, it's like an uprightness. You get what I'm saying? You can't be mad at that. So, my point is this: there's more, there's more to be had than just trying to tell somebody what to do. There's more to be gained. You see what I'm saying? And it's easier when you just try your best to allow people to see that the greatest part of you is what they want to see all the time. And how they're going to see that greatest part of you all the time is by them conducting themselves in their greatest form and fashion. Or so that way, because when you're operating on a level of righteousness, there's no need to chide or chastise or admonish anyone or reprimand them or anything like that. It's simple construction. You know what I'm saying? You construct them to do something else. It's not you construct them to do something else. You put them in a different position. Literally. You see what I'm saying? So you're like, okay, see it from this side. I'll give you a prime example. If I had a place of business, I wouldn't sell any pork, I wouldn't sell any seafood. It would only be what I considered clean animals. In my place of business, you wouldn't be able to bring your own little pork chop or ham sandwiches. None of that stuff is coming up in here. If they claim to be righteous and they say, well, I believe this, this, and this. Okay, well, let me show you what this person that you defer to says. Because I don't have to use any sort of trickery with folks. I just need them to see it like, okay, so you're saying that. But what if this is saying this? So you want to eat pork, but what if I'm saying that the Messiah said, I didn't come here to get rid of the laws or to change anything? So no matter what anybody says after that, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what Paul says or what anybody who's your reverend or your rabbi or whatever says. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't ever have to give in to that. That's not required. You see what I mean? That's not mandate. And so when you can finally get outside of yourself and say, all right, I actually I don't have to do this. This is not something that is going to make me be in a better position. A lot of people don't know how to endure because they don't have any humility and they don't have any grace. This is a fact. You know, tolerance is a first cousin of patience, if not brother and brother or sister and sister. But they're one and the same, but one will allow you to do things that you might not normally get away with. The other is the ability to wait you out. See what I'm saying? And those are not the same things. Because I have a high tolerance, my patience is getting there, but sooner than later, I'm going to lower my tolerance, and I'm going to have put a conscious effort on making sure that my patience stays at an all-time high. So that way, when I deal with these individuals where I've been sore impatient for my whole life. So, you know, that being my goal, that's a real struggle of mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm really impatient. I don't have the sometimes I have the wherewithal, but sometimes I don't have the complete wherewithal to realize that this person, so-called person, doesn't get it. You know, like they understand what they're supposed to do to a certain degree, but they don't understand everything. Like we're all one big organism. You know what I mean? As far as when you have a job. So if I'm a delivery man and you're supposed to have your old crates or your old bottles or your old whatever at a certain place, okay, the only way I can drop off this stuff for you is by having yours, right? You know, and let's say it's like let's say it's just like flavored water or something like that. So I have your flavors at a certain spot, but I didn't get your bottles. I can't leave these here and then hope that you have the bottles later. I have to keep them, and now I have to work around. I have to pull this out each time. You see what I'm saying? Just to get to the stuff that's behind it. So now I have to work even harder than I normally would work because you don't see that we're one thing working together for this assignment. Maybe not in totality, but at least for this part of how the organism works, we all in this whatever it is, we're supposed to work together. And you have a lot of people and a lot of individuals uh, trying to just call Gentiles individuals without, you know, they don't look, they don't like getting called Gentiles, but it's like I don't know what else to call them other than what they are, you know. So I try not to be. I'm trying not to sound like people think it sounds derogative to use the term Gentiles the way I do, but it's not derogative. It's just what they are. But anyway, I try not to make it hard on them. You know what I'm saying? To get it because they only get what they get. You know, and you have people who have like I'm talking about actual people now. You have people who really do have skills but will leave their skills all the way back because they don't think that they have to work together. Like, bro, it's like you're a part of this team. So be a part of the team. Don't be against the team. You know, uh, when you have people who are preaching multiple doctrines about the scripture, that's destructive. Because on one end, out of your mouth, you'll say all the Hebrews are black people, but then you'll start to give into, oh, well, the Romans and this, and it's like, well, there's more proof that the Romans were not pale skinned than there's proof that they were pale skinned. And in fact, it it's just I will always reiterate this point. It makes absolutely 0% sense that you have individuals, okay, who are that's what I'm looking for. The Romans are black. How do you have individuals who are supposed to look nothing like okay, so the Romans are white, the invaders are white, is what I'm saying. You can't the native and the invaders cannot look the exact same. It's impossible. It just it doesn't make sense. So that goes back into the problem not being the solution. You know what I mean? If you're doing something that looks like the problem, you can't carry on doing that which is the problem. That's the issue. And then you can't say, well, but this is how we're going to fix it by doing the same things that we've been doing that created these problems. It doesn't make sense. In your own little amoebas, you're going to have to be able to change everything that you can change for yourself. Reprogramming oneself is a difficult task, but it can be done. I know it can because I done it. So I know you can reprogram yourself. I know that it's easy as done when once again you're operating with humility and grace. And that's just being calm, cool, and collected about it the best you can. And even when you get frustrated, you continue to do your job and you don't start being counterintuitive to the task that you're supposed to be achieving, meaning that you don't become part of the problem. Come on. I'm getting ready to end out, and I have to say these things right here that enduring the hard times, there's going to be a lot of cats who get killed next year on these streets because they've been moving real sideways, y'all. A lot of young dudes who are, it's so sad that they don't value their lives, but they really don't. And you can kind of like tell. And so, you know, they can say whatever they want to say about the police. But the more I look at this stuff, man, I'm just like, I don't know if it's going to be white folks to do it. It might just be a bunch of hood niggas killing each other. It, it could really end up like that. It could really end up like that. And white folks will be like, we didn't do it. And to the degree that they don't pull the triggers, they didn't do it. But everything that they're creating to make something like that, to foster something like that to happen, is all on them. You know, it's just been going through my mind like, what would be the most evil way to achieve black people murdering each other over a period of time where it's just out of hand, it's crazy, and people just feel hopeless. Black people just started killing one another, just crazy, left and right, bringing unwanted harm and drama to their families, getting folks killed in the middle of the night while they sleep. That sort of drama. It's just a matter of time until something happens. Whatever's going to happen has to happen. It can't not happen. It must happen. It's not because I want it to. It's not because I say it will. It's because it's how it's written. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it's written. It's just how it is. So it ain't my fault. It ain't your fault. It ain't nobody's fault. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to stand here or sit here and act like I don't smell trouble a brewing. Trouble is a brewing, y'all. Trouble is a brewing. I'm not worried about Joe Biden and whatever he's doing and his vice president, whatever she's doing. I don't care about none of that stuff. Or I only care about when the actual effects are going to be seen. So that way we can gauge and see what part of the prophecy they're trying to nullify or pseudo replicate. You know, look, man, you got places in Texas, all these little states are talking about trying to put their own money up for the wall. They're tired. They're tired. But by the time they actually get around to doing something about all this stuff, because quiet is kept, I know that they still been building on that wall. They can say they haven't. They have. You can, man, you can have people do stuff in the dead of night and would nobody know. Nobody would know. You'd be like, damn, I could have sworn that wasn't like that yesterday. It's probably because it wasn't, player. But you know, if they go and give somebody some money and have them sign a non-disclosure agreement, right, under the threat of imprisonment, blase, 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 oh yeah, man, take this money, not say nothing. Government still coming in here trying to build this shit, but it's too late. It's too late for all that. They played their hand, and people need to endure. Everybody who lives in the southern states, southwest, southeast, south central, right? You need to just be careful because there's a lot going on right now. There's a whole bunch going on. And like I said, these guys are going to come across the border in cars, riding donkeys, horses, bicycles, motorcycles, the mopeds, everything they can cross on land and sea with. They're going to have something like that. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. I know it's not. I can feel that in my spirit and my soul. I know it's not going to be pretty. And the government that people thinks has their best interest in mind is showing them that it's not going to be pretty. And this is why I keep laughing. Now, everybody, go back in your mind and tell me when the government spent trillions of dollars like this, besides like Great Depression type time, right? Follow what I'm getting at. And they never even spent trillions, but they spent, what would have been, hundreds of billions, the equivalent. But get what I'm saying. Your boy said he needed a trillion. I said all my people need a trillion because we need to bankrupt this whole motherfucker. The only way that they're going to realize that they're out and we're in, like, like we're the ones, like we're the chosen ones, is when folks start to have, I'm not going to say ridiculous demands, but they up the demands, they up the ante so much that they realize that there's nothing that we can offer them that's going to appease them. Word. I need mine's back in blood and I need my money. Both. That's the bottom line. But I'm gonna wait for the Koreans and the Chinese and the Russians and the Afghans and the Iranians and everybody else who's going to airdrop into this bitch or from 7-Eleven or from their little teriyaki shops and from their little whatever else they got, man. Little pita huts and falafel and all that shit. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for all them to come out the woodworks and turn on this motherfucker. It's happening. The U.S. government knows it. That's the quiet as kept. Quiet is kept. They know that. But they don't want to say nothing because that'll scare folks. Like my father told me years ago, the reason why they made that show 24 was so that way they can help people, they can help individuals get over 9/11 because they were so called enduring hard times, right? And when they was so called enduring, those hard times, they created Jack Bauer to calm down the minds of these Americans by making them believe that there was individuals like Jack Bauer out there who were willing to go to any extent. He's going to any limits. He's going there and beyond to keep America safe. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like remember how like his neighbors ended up being terrorists or some shit like that? It was crazy. 24 went there. Were. And they had, man, when I say that was the only time in this country that another group was actually possibly more hated than black people for a small period of time. It was for like 7 or 8 years. I really have to say that Arabs really were hated more than niggas. And if you was a nigga Arab, they hated you twice as much. Okay. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if y'all remember those years following 9/11. Being a Muslim was tough. You know what I mean? I'm glad I ain't no Muslim, but being a Muslim was rough on them. Shoot, I, man, they made Team America and all that stuff. They didn't care about nobody's feelings. Word. They was trying to make sure that the Americans felt good, trying to make sure that they endured through that situation. See, let me go ahead and tell y'all something real quick. There's an individual who, as opposed to leading the sheep to safety, he's leading them to slaughter. Pastor Dow, right? God bless him, because his heart might be in the right place. God bless him, but man, let me say this right here, man. This shit is crazy because the brother was talking about resisting the government, right? Armed resistance, and it's written in the Constitution that we can overturn a tyrannical government. What he fails to realize, or what he fails to tell the people, and it's been a long time since I've brushed up on the Constitution and all that stuff. But did y'all know we are supposed to have armament equivalent to all means of the U.S. government? Word? Joe Biden was just like, yeah. Joe Biden jokingly was like, yeah, these guys want to resist. Ha ha ha. They don't got no fighter jets. They don't got no bombs. It's like they ain't nobody. He's pretty much saying, man, we'll mark the American people out, cousin, move on. These guys really think that there's going to be an EMP explosion on the day that they decide to want to pipe up to the government. You're going to get folks killed like that, man. If you live in America, you're not off the grid. You got to get out this country where they don't have somewhere they don't have as many complicated UAVs that they consider satellites, uh, floating around. That's what a satellite is, y'all. It's a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. That's what satellites are. So some of them are more complicated than others, but a UAV is nothing but is a satellite. Word works like what? Anyway. Giving y'all my perception on the situation. That's the only way you can get off the grid is getting about this joint. So you can't really be off the grid. And this dude is tripping. He's tripping on. Listen, at what point does somebody like that not scare y'all to be like, this guy can never really if he comes if he gets anywhere close to an inch of power, he's gonna abuse it, and you can just tell. He doesn't need any kind of more. He doesn't need any more authoritative position than the people have already acquiesced to him, because his mind isn't right. This isn't our country. If he believes in the curses of the Most High God, see, this is why when they throw around that name Yah like that, I don't like that, because he says his name has been corrupted. So I just call him the Most High. I think that's more appropriate. It's befitting. It's the proper name, or the title for the name. And anyhow, for an individual who believes that he believes in the curses, he should have to know that bad times are coming. He can't, once again, you can't talk like that and then expect for someone like myself or for any of y'all to be like, yeah, we need to fight back against a tyrannical government that the Most High God put over the people to punish them because their ancestors were unrighteous and wicked. That's exactly what we need. We need to defy the Most High God. But he don't realize what he's saying means to defy the Most High God. These are the kind of individuals we're dealing with. They're dangerous, y'all. Tariq Nasheed, dude is when I say dangerous, all the way dangerous. I be listening to these dudes broadcast. These cats, not Pastor Dow. He ain't about to uplift no drug dealers. But there's a lot of these black dudes who will try to talk about a drug dealer and a chemical assassin. Come on, as if they really are any good, and will push the lie that the dope would have been there no matter what. Let's go ahead and let's do some real quick non-conventional history. The first dope to really get into this country would have had to been through the Chinese. The Chinese probably introduced it to black people on the railroads who were hurting their backs, right? And their little rice patty shops and opium dens that they used to have open up all throughout they had opium dens in the South, in New Orleans, some places in Alabama, all that. Anywhere where they was building a railroad at, you can believe there were some opium dens. Believe that. So niggas tearing their back up, getting hooked to the China stuff. Yup. So when you talk about, you know, history, or you talk about something that, like, black people need to understand, like, folks have been selling us drugs and giving us things that we're not supposed to have for a long time. But I could contend otherwise that the way that it was used before and how it's used now is totally different. But the same way anything happens, you have a derelict become involved in something that they have no business being involved in. Wickedly evil. Someone who has no business being around or anything like that. Right. If y'all are ever wondering like how the dope actually really got there, like I told y'all, you had dudes like Fard Muhammad selling dope in the early 1900s to black folks. Who do you think he was getting his stuff from? If not getting it right from the same Afghanis that the Chinese were getting the dope from. I'm trying to break it down to y'all. So they can't have it both ways. You can't get mad when somebody who don't look like you is selling you dope. But then you don't mind when somebody who looks like you sells you the dope, but they got it from somebody who don't look like you. So how backwards, once again, backwards pimping, whatever they want to call it, that's backwards as can be. And they know it. But nobody calls these dudes out on it. How dangerous it sounds. How dangerous it sounds when these guys talk about don't talk to single mothers. I tell individuals, I don't go out of my way to do that because there's something that I feel that's not always, it's not as honorable as you think it is. Cause like this chick could easily be talking to the dude that got her pregnant and they could be trying to work that out. There's no need for you to get all involved. But if this nigga's totally out the picture, do what you do whatever you think is gonna bring you closer to doing the right thing. You see what I'm saying? So if you think getting with her is gonna really calm you down and really make you start to live your life right, do that. But if getting with her is just gonna make you another baby's daddy and that's it, then you got to go ahead and keep it pushing and move on. You can't be no sucker for nobody. You know what I'm saying? You can't be that kind of person who is willing to lose all that you have because you're not willing to endure the hard times. Same things go for these ladies. If this nigga got 8 different baby mamas already and he's struggling to even be involved in just 2 of these children's life, and you're about to get this nigga a child, that's on you when you end up in the struggle. That's a self-inflicted wound. You can't blame nobody for that. And I don't, once again, I don't find it in my heart to really go after the females because I, to a much greater degree than people think, I understand females way more than I let on. So, like, but that's not my avenue. I don't talk about stuff like that because I just I just feel like everybody has their own way of approaching the opposite sex, and what works for you doesn't work for everybody else. And there is no one size fits all. So you need to learn how to operate within your own bounds of comfort and look for what you're looking for through the bounds of comfort that you've established. But if those bounds don't bring you any closer to what you're looking for, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. I'm not asking you to compromise yourself. I'm asking you to cooperate with a different thought of conscience or a different thought in mind, which is doing something that you don't normally do, but something that's not going to bring you any harm, right? And you'll be okay. I don't do the online dating thing. It's just too much drama in that. Think to me personally, I believe it's dangerous. Uh, you know, you can obviously not get who it is that you're looking for, but you can also just end up in a really dangerous situation where somebody's trying to get you robbed and potentially get you killed. You know, so because you just don't, you never know. So there's no need to taking chances on your health. Anyhow, now I'm getting ready to roll out in the next couple minutes because I just wanted to get some of this lesser tier things off my chest. Not even lesser tier, they just don't matter as much to me because I don't go out of my way for all that. Uh, I like to I like to tell brothers that the struggle, God sees your struggle. I like to tell the sisters that too. God sees your struggle. Or I'm not saying that it's bad to struggle. I'm just saying that God sees your struggle, brothers and sisters. He really does. He doesn't not see it. So you can't listen to these individuals talking about resist or pretty much, letting dead drug dealers stand on their shoulders. Word. And I heard this guy pretty much praise, praise some devil worshiping heathens. Can you dig it? About murdering another brother. That's the kind of shit that you have to worry about with these dudes. They cannot be trusted because at the end of the day, they have way too they have too much to lose in the sense of what they feel is their gain. Right on? Like this dude literally, I'm talking about these cats literally or bringing down the people, giving people horrible advice about relationships, trying to tell like once again, their whole thing is telling guys to get become a truck driver or get into tech. That's what I hear these niggas telling dudes to do. I don't hear nobody saying like, look, man, I got a guy who lives in this state. He's a bona fide, certified construction, pretty much genius. If y'all really want to learn the trade, right? We'll get the money up. We'll get the people to crowd fund. We'll get the money up, and we'll go and have y'all train up under this guy for about 5 or 6 months. You see what I'm saying? We'll put the money together. Y'all will get trained up. Then we'll send you out to places, and y'all will go do some community work first. We're gonna pay you, right? But y'all gonna do some community work to build up some of these communities, and then we're going to, obviously continue to grow the little factions that we have. So y'all can go back to where you're from, teach up other individuals. A lot of this stuff is going to be funded by the same people who funded you to get taught up. You see what I mean? Like they don't really have anything transformational that they can do for Black people because they don't have the mind to do it. You see what I mean? Right? They're not like, look, you can go become an electrician, a plumber, a mechanic. We'll teach you all the basics of all these skills. And the one you like the most is the one that you get into. You feel me? Brick mason, all that stuff. The one you like the most. If you want to get to pay the most money, okay, man, well, you going to be a brick mason or you going to be a electrician. Plumbers make really good money, but you have to live in the right states. Brick masons always make cake. Electricians always make cake, especially when you get into the northern regions, of the United States. Um, Depending on, like the state you're in, construction is always going down somewhere, but you can always find somebody. Like this is why teaching people how to do basic woodwork and like how to route wood, how to use a jigsaw, how to use a bandsaw, how to use a skill saw, how to use a circular saw, right? You know, the best way to drill through wood, the best ways not to mess up, your project, how to properly apply finishes, how to sand and then stain your wood, blah 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 blah. Things that folks may have never engaged in. I've done a bunch of I've done a bunch of different work. You hear what I'm saying? So it's different for somebody like me where it's like I just defer to wash dishes because and cook food because guess what? They're gonna pay me pretty much $20 an hour. And the only thing I have to do is make sure that I don't get cut with nothing sharp and I just don't lose my cool too much. Other than that, it's all good. Or and there's people who are barely making more money than that to do hella dangerous shit every day. Why would I why would I put myself in danger for peanuts? You know what I'm saying? Like that's stupid. That's stupid. I was doing hella dangerous stuff when I worked at the little brick mason company for like a little month and some change. Chimney repair spot. Nah, hella dangerous work because of how they had it set up. Extra dangerous work. And if I wasn't in such, good physical condition, I probably would have really got hurt out there. But I didn't, and I thank the Most High God for that. But nobody's teaching these dudes the stuff that I went and learned, and I'm like, I still know what to do. I would take my time, obviously more with it, but I still know what to do. You see what I'm saying? I'm not avert to doing what I have to do and to take my time to do it right. I'm not above that. I'm not bigger than that. But these individuals haven't even made that possible for anybody. They haven't said, we will get you learned up. Okay. We will do what Job Corps couldn't do, which is to get you the skill that you need and actually get you somewhere to a community that needs you. These guys talking about they want to get with an actual sister. What better way than for them to go to a neighborhood that has nothing but beat up, torn up houses for a team of these brothers to go and tear down the houses that need to be torn down and the ones that you can actually redo some stuff in, fix them up and get them right. You see what I'm saying? The same brothers who talk about they want, we need the police. No, we don't need the police. What we need is for Black people The same black people who would pay the taxes to pay the police, to pay the same amount of money that the police officers get paid for somebody else to go around and patrol the neighborhood. Wow, how hard is that? We're talking about upstanding individuals, and they can't be afraid. They can't be you can't be afraid of your own shadow. You can't be fearful. So these, once again, what could have been transformative these last few years for them has been nothing because they lack vision. And it's too late now. Now that I've said what I've said, they can't do any of this. Even if they tried, it's not going to work. It's not going to be permanent. Let me say it like that. They don't have the vision, y'all. They lack that. They lack that part where it's like, okay, well, how do we logistically put that together? Easy. You offer a hotel umpteen amounts of money. These guys are going to be paired up in rooms. No lie. Right. They're going to be out here learning the trade, getting paid to do it. So you're already housed for free, so you're going to make a little bit of money. The whole point of you being here, right? Or we just go get a house to put these dudes in. How hard is that? Right. We just rent out a house that we eventually will buy once we get enough money pulled together from the people. And this is the training house. No guns in here, no none of that stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Right. You don't get drunk here, you don't get high here. Right. So if you can't handle doing that somewhere else and then coming back, you don't belong here. You don't need to be here because you're not going to do what you want to do up in here. You're going to do what you're asked to do. So that way they learn some discipline, they learn some self-control, they learn some respect for themselves, they learn how to honor the system, most importantly. We're talking about if they actually had wanted to do stuff like this, they could have done that. Now it's on my mind. Now I got to talk about it. And during the hard times, are they going to have the sense now just to set up basic community outreach so that way, starting next spring or whenever the actual end of the winter comes, they start to get real community gardens growing? I'm talking about all over the United States where there's food deserts at. Are they going to have guys go out to DC and say, hey, look, we're going to pay We're gonna pay y'all to upkeep this whole thing for the whole start of the spring, going down into the August, right? August, September, October, for the harvest time. Think about what I'm saying, man. Are they gonna do that? Are they really gonna do that? Probably not. They're not gonna do none of that for no Detroit, none of those places. Are they gonna bring clean water, potable water for people? Huh? Are they gonna do that for them? Probably not. You see what I'm saying? Are they going to have the wherewithal to make sure that children forget so-called Thanksgiving for the rest of this year as it gets colder and it gets and the resources become more and more scarce and cost more and more money, right? Because it's not going to get cheaper during the so-called holiday season. It's going to get more expensive, right? Are they going to make sure that they have what they need? Man, I work at a restaurant. I watch these fools throw away so much food every day. It's crazy. It's a shame. It's all it is. It's a complete outright shame. And you know what's crazier about it? There's a bunch of niggas who go to eat where I work at. When I say it's not cheap, it's not cheap. Now, do I think that these niggas, do I think niggas normally eat all their food? Yeah. But you got some pompous ass, high sedity niggas out there. We all know what I'm talking about. The real bougie niggas. Make me think about this Ethiopian chick who used to always call me bougie. And I used to just be like hella upset. Like, how the fuck can you call me bougie? But anyway, we all been around them. But I'm talking about a waste upon waste. What are they going to do to help black people? Like, what are they going to do to actually help them? Nothing. The advice I've given is way more tenable than what they've done, than what they're going to do. Lip service is not action. Teaching is not lip service. Come on. They don't know, y'all. I laughed about that because I like that one. Can you dig it? Lip service is not action, and teaching is not lip service. Because when you are taught something, you can apply it, you can use it. Therefore, it has a tangible and actionable good. Brothers and sisters, Corey Tyler, bro, I salute you. Man, I end on this note right here. It's a blessing to be blessed by the Most High God than to be cursed by Him. Right on. Meaning that I'd rather see that I'm blessed by the Most High God than to see that I'm cursed by the Most High God, even if, because both things could be true. But if I only try to see my blessings, I operate within humility and grace to do so. So I implore you, brother, and everybody that you love, just to let them know, just to be, you know, humble and graceful the best they can. Oh, much love, bro. Man, until next time. But we will have a next time, God willing. I salute you again. May tomorrow be better than today, bro. And may next week be better than last.